is not a great time for wrestling. And so we're going to kind of tie that in. We only do this every once and then where we talk about modern wrestling. And so before the people, and this is going to get cut up into two different parts here. Before you listen to this and you see that title slide on YouTube, we don't watch the WWE like at all. So if you feel that this is going to be some WWE pro propaganda, you're completely wrong because I'm saying we. I don't watch any WWE except for the pay-per-views like WrestleMania. Like I think King and Queen of the Ring is like in an hour. I have no intention on watching any of that. Would that be fair for you?
Yeah, I've been watching the PLEs somewhat lately, particularly WrestleMania, and I wanted to see the
Yeah.
one in Australia because of Rhea Ripley.
Hmm.
But it's funny. The thing that I discovered about like this series is we used to always, it always felt like we were missing out because we would see the weekly show and mostly squash matches, and like, man, I don't want to see that pay per view. I want to see it, but the matches are like kind of what, even like a good match is kind of like whatever, and you're like,
Hmm.
yeah, they had a good match, but what was the story? And you got the story on the show that we could see anyway. So, when it's just, particularly when it's just like match, 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 which is what these pay-per-views are, it's like it's a lot. Um,
Yeah.
and the shorter ones, the 3 hour ones or whatever, it's fine, but they are making some travel videos in WWE right now too.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
wherever they
Yeah.
go, like
Yeah.
you're gonna get some travel videos. Did you
Yeah.
watch the
That
France thing?
I did not.
Yeah,
No.
mostly what happens is I listen to Cornette. I'm like, I gotta see this shit. The
Hmm.
matches were whatever. The crowd was like insane, but like they were just like it seemed like it didn't even really matter what was going on. They were just
Yeah.
glad to be there. So
It's just, and as I have this in here, Cody wins the belt at WrestleMania 40, and again, not having tracked this in any way, shape, or form, only what I hear or read, there's a post drop off after WrestleMania every single year. Now
mhm.
people are like placing that all, well, Cody being the champion or whatever. Like maybe some of that is true, maybe it's not, but it really is just kind of like they're just going through the motions. Like what I found is like, man, you built up this story all the way to get to WrestleMania for essentially 2 years. And then in the first pay per view after that, he's wrestling. Was that the match against AJ Styles in France, the first
Yeah,
pay per view?
yeah.
So you knew he wasn't going to lose. One, it was in France, and two, it was AJ Styles. And now I think there's a King in the Ring, like I said today, that he's going to wrestle
Logan Paul.
Logan Paul. He's not losing to Logan Paul either in Saudi Arabia. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so yes, you got him to be champion. Yes, you built up this story, but now what do? Like the chase was more important than the chip. And it, whether it's me, even though I'm not really watching it, or just the standard thing that happens after WrestleMania, after they loaded it up with every star they could get from the previous 20 years, it's just, like, okay, now it's just wrestling again. It just looks like more like it's wrestling because you don't have like the superstars from WWEF past.
Yeah, and the storyline last year was, when he lost, kind of defying all expectations, and he did not win. Then it was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, well, you got to remember, like for Dusty, it was definitely the chase was more important. Dusty would have like a 2 month reign and then
Mm-hmm.
chase and get beat up for, and I'm like, okay, so if that's the case, then the prospects of him being champion at WrestleMania next year, I would have to say are fairly limited. So
Yeah.
I think he's going to get you know, some mid rate, some minor angles, some,
Mm-hmm.
some decent challengers, and then somebody will probably take the belt off him. But I have no guess as to who that might be
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah, and again, like I said, we don't watch it week to week. Only listen to whatever we hear on podcasts or, like I said, what I read on the internet. And it's just, it's just a wrestling show at this point. Like, hey,
Hmm.
we're doing some wrestling around some talking,
Eh,
trying to build up a storyline with the bloodline all over the place, which is, what their bread and butter's been for the last few years. But it's not like, oh my gosh, SmackDown or Raw is like appointment television or anything like
right.
that because of what you're going to see. It's just not. You can easily recap those shows on Twitter in 45 seconds.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay, that's enough. Good. And you just move on. But they're still doing a lot better than the competition, which is what we're going to get to now. So AEW is just struggling.